because right now I'm risking everything rather than just a couple pieces of gear. Shit. It's 4 in the morning. I'm about to jump on Pegasus and head on a bit of a cruise for some photography this morning. A long drive ahead of me. Let's move. Took about an hour and a half, but I made it to Georgiopoulos, the place that I've been wanting to shoot, the place that I wanted to shoot here. It didn't come without a little bit of a near massive misadventure for the camera gear, but maybe I'll talk about that after sunrise. I've got about 30 minutes to figure out a composition. There's obviously beaches and resorts and all that here, but there's this really incredible church that's sitting out there on the sea at the edge of this wave break, and that's the photo subject this morning. So let's find some composition for this. This might be a little bit trickier than I was hoping, just because there's bigger waves than I was expecting there to be on this wave break. I don't think I've seen anything high enough to cause problems for the camera, but I think that I want to be closer to this church. I want to make this church seem isolated. I could put a long lens on it, but I think the best composition is going to be out on this wave break, but as you can probably see behind me, the waves hit it, the water kind of jumps up, and I don't want to get the gear soaked. So, yeah, decision time, but I think I'm going to risk it. Okay, this feels risky. Man, it feels risky for the gear, but I think it's worth it. As you can see, these waves kind of crush up and hit the bottom of the gear, but I don't think they're spraying high enough to cause any damage. I got hit by one that hit side up, but I haven't been hit by something that's hit camera high yet. But I'm just keeping an eye on the sea. It looks like a big set's coming in right now. Actually, this is maybe too high. I'm shooting an exposure as well. 10 seconds, f11. Oh man, this is crazy. It's crazy because the sea's super calm out there, but just the way the waves come in and are broken by this, the water splashes up here, and I'm wondering if it's actually better to go farther down there. Yeah, I'm gonna move up just a little bit. I think I'm in a bad spot. This is such a challenge just because the waves are constantly rolling, and it's just unnerving, and I'm soaked from the waist up, and here comes like a big set like this is coming, and they roll in. And they never really get that bad, but they don't give you any time to set things up. And I've had to set my gear up way back there and hope that I've got it right. I've got a 3-stop hard grad ND on, I've got a 6-stop ND, and here comes a big wave. And I'm trying to do 10-second exposures to get the motion in the water. But yeah, it's really a challenge just to keep my focus. Such a challenge. The sun's coming up, and I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna get really close to the church in hopes that closer to the church it's actually sheltered from these crazy waves that are just risking all my gear right now. I should have left my camera bag back at the front with all my camera gear and just taken out the lens I need, because right now I'm risking everything rather than just a couple pieces of gear. I think it's worth. I think it's worse here. That wave just hit me right in the chest. Try a little bit farther. Try to get past this break. Shit. Shit. I am soaked from head to toe. Okay. Whew. Made it. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I ended up just running up the front. I got hit by a big wave that actually got me shoulder up, even got the gimbal. That was not smart. The sun's up. There's an Indian sunrise happening that way. It's beautiful, the light's beautiful. I just can't be shooting where I want to be shooting because, yeah, it's risky for the gear. A second option might be to just put on a wide angle lens like the 16 to 35 and get down here in these rocks where I think it looks like it's safe-ish. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'll be honest with you, I'm having fun. I'm having way too much fun actually. I was just standing out there and I left the vlogging camera and the gear behind as to not do too much risk. But I was standing out there in this spot that looked pretty dry. I was standing almost waist high, just trying to get some seascape shots with some moving water in the foreground of this and this incredible sky we have back this way. I've been so lucky so far in Greece. Almost every morning that I've gone out and shot, I've gotten beautiful light. This might be the most beautiful light. I do wish I didn't have the misadventure I had this morning so that I would have been here a little bit earlier, given myself a little bit more time, but I will talk about that in a second. As for now, I think I'm gonna get the drone in the air. I think this will look really cool from the sky. Okay, it's time to run the gauntlet back. I waited until the swell kind of dropped, so I kind of just got to be quick. I'm about risk assessments. Buy good gear, especially if you're a professional. One of the biggest reasons I never left Canon was because of the weather sealing. Because I know that with Canon, I can risk my gear out in the rain, snow, or even if I have to, in crazy situations like this. So buy good gear, buy weather sealed gear. Oh, yeah, that one hit me about shoulder high. Okay, get a cruise. No more talking. Okay, I'm back on land, safe, not dry, but safe, and I think the gear's totally fine as well. I almost, through all that craziness, forgot to talk about the little misadventure that happened this morning. It wasn't a misadventure, it was a close call. This is Pegasus, the quad. These are ratchet straps that I bought so that I could strap my bag on, or Jody's bag, or both bags on when we go out on adventures, and just have the gear super secure. And this morning, I decided to be lazy, and instead of wearing my backpack, I put it on here, I ratchet strapped it, and then to get really lazy, I also took this camera on the gimbal and I just stuck it in there and ratchet strapped it. But what I didn't expect to happen was the vibrations, and I guess maybe the wind, unscrewed the vlogging camera. And just over time, I guess it unscrewed and I had no idea. And then I hit the brakes at some point and I felt something roll down my arm. And it just kind of like happened quick. It was just reaction. I just swiped my hand and caught the camera. Driving like 75 kilometers an hour down the road, my camera went flying off the bike, and just like magic, I just reached out and grabbed it from like right out of the air. So almost lost the vlogging camera this morning. Usually the way I'm driving when this is set up is I have that and then I stick the vlogging camera underneath my leg and it kind of just hooks it in that way. And I guess that's what's gonna happen for the next hour and a half as we head home. So I want to end this video talking about two other things. The first is luck, because I got lucky today, not only with the fact that going out to shoot photography at that spot was a little bit risky, but just with the location. In fact, if the weather was good, I probably would have never got the second set of photos that I absolutely love from right in front of the church, because I would have just stayed back at this location, the first little spot I was shooting, and shot that like crazy until the light died. But because I was forced to run through these waves and get to somewhere safer, I got to this location that I wouldn't have found on that shoot. I might have found it eventually if I would have location scouted later, and I might have found it for a future shoot, but I wouldn't have found it for this morning. And that was just totally luck. And that was just totally the conditions leading me to the best photo. And I'm not a religious person. I'm not gonna say the gods led me there. It was luck, 100% luck. And I feel really, really happy with these images. I think the images from up close at the church are probably my favorite photos so far of 2019, 2018. So yeah, I'm stoked. The second thing I want to end this video by talking about is risk, because the whole time I was shooting out there, I was thinking, this is too risky, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be out here, I'm gonna lose all my gear. But that's part of being a travel photographer, is assessing the risk and then deciding, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to go out there? And what's the worst case scenario, and am I okay with the risk that it's gonna take if that happens? And so I sat back at the wave break and I thought, best case scenario, I don't lose any gear, nothing gets destroyed, and I get hit by some waves and I kind of get a little bit wet, and I get some epic images that nobody else in the world has, or very few people in the world have. Some really sellable images. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I walk along the wave break, a massive wave comes out, knocks me into the sea, and I lose all my gear. And then you kind of have to like sit back and decide, is it worth it? Is the photograph worth that kind of risk? What are the percentages of that happening? So as I sat on the wave break, or I stood on the wave break looking out at it, I made a decision that it was very, very unlikely that I was gonna have a worst case scenario, that I was much more likely to have a best case scenario. And of course, that's what happened. And yeah, like I said, some of my favorite images of the year happened today because I took that risk. Now, I'm not saying to you, go out there and smash through waves and risk everything to try to get a cool shot. Be risk aware. And when I was starting as a travel photographer, if I would have lost all my gear, I would have been done. Like, I would have had no gear, no money, I would have had nothing. I had $50 in my bank account. So I couldn't replace gear if gear got washed away to sea. So at that situation back then, I might not have taken the same risk. So assess the situation from yourself, assess the situation in regards to your gear, and then make a decision. I could not be happier in my decision making today. I would go out and do exactly the same thing tomorrow. And yeah, overall, stoked. How cool is that location in Georgiopoulos, Crete, Greece? Long video, I think, today, but I think it was a fun, crazy video, and I'm over the moon happy with how everything went today, even if there was definitely some risk involved. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.